Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about a product that is unlike anything that I've tested on the channel yet. And it's actually something that I've thought about in the past about existing because it kind of combines two different things that I like when it comes to listening to music. It combines like the open back that I'm used to with normal headphones, and then it also combines basically like an IM. So an in-ear monitor that has open back characteristics because it does have the exposed grill on the outside, so this kind of allows the sound to be able to escape. And I don't know if this is something that's existed already. It's just not something that I've ever tested on the channel. So to me, this is new, and to me, I think this is just new for the audio world altogether. But the company that is making this is Fosi Audio. This is the IM4. So like you can see, an open back in-ear monitor. Now this is a product that is on Kickstarter, so this is not one that you could just go on Amazon, buy right away, and kind of expect it to show up in a day or two. But Fosi Audio is a company that's known for their DACs and their amps, so they are a well-known company. It's not like one of those shady companies trying to start a Kickstarter-funded project. Now, initially, it scared me looking at the Kickstarter page because it said $615, but that is in like Hong Kong currency. These are actually right now set at an early bird price of $80, and they are going to retail for $100. So that's actually not bad at all, especially for what all you're getting. So first off, let's go ahead and talk about the looks. And I really love the design of these. It's very subtle. It's available in black and silver, but you can see that I have the black version here. It does have a matte finish. You can see some red accents where it has the exposed grill. And the IM is using a 10mm beryllium plated dynamic driver. And the cable that they've included is a pretty decent silver plated copper cable. It is using the 2-pin connection. And then the headphone jack itself is a standard 3.5mm headphone jack, so there's no 1/4-inch adapter or 4.4mm balance adapter included. So I wish that would have been in the box, but they do, however, come with two different nozzles which do allow you to switch out the sound signature. The aluminum one that they have, which is already on it out of the box, kind of reduces the brightness and it kind of boosts the low end a little bit, where the brass one that they've included in the box kind of, subdues the bass a little bit but accentuates the mids and the treble. And then they also include 3 different style of ear tips that represent also boosting the sound in different ways. They have a set of ear tips that's for a more balanced sound. They have a set of ear tips that's for your bass, and then they have a set that's for a deeper bass. And then they also include this blue pleather looking hard case, so you can store all of this on top of the IMs themselves. But moving over to some of the technical specs on these, the impedance level is only 21 ohms with a sensitivity of 109 decibels. So it's not really hard to drive to get some decent volume out of it. But again, like I've said with the other ones, I just recommend using an amp anyway. That way you can just really push the low end and push the mids and the treble and just get more out of the sound. So how do these sound? Well, as expected, with them being an open back product, it has plenty of space to it, but it's not exactly like an open back pair of headphones. It doesn't leak as much sound. It doesn't make it where you can hear as much of your environment around you like you can with an open back pair of headphones. So it was a little strange there, but it had the sound characteristics of an open back product. Again, plenty of space. The bass kind of takes an effect with this because, with having any kind of sound leak out of a product like this, the bass isn't going to be as prominent as something that's completely sealed off. Now, the bass does still have plenty of punch to it. It's just tighter. The sub bass kind of surprised me in how much it had some presence here, but it's not overbearing, it's not overly powerful, and it's not going to affect the mids and the treble. The mids on these I was very impressed with, and I don't know if it's because of the space that it gives, but all of the vocalists just sounded like you were in a live environment. I wouldn't say that it had an echo or a reverb, but it just sounded like it had so much space. And then the same thing kind of with the treble. The treble had a lot of detail. It had plenty of brightness to it, but I am going to say with the aluminum nozzle, it does have a slightly more warm approach. But with the brass ones, that one can actually get pretty bright. So the way that I actually preferred to listen to these was with the aluminum nozzle, but with the deep bass ear tips. I felt like that kind of had like the perfect balance of giving me, as much of the low end that it could, but at the same time, I still felt like there was so much detail in the mids and the treble that I never felt like these were lacking at all. And I never felt like I needed to go to the brass ones to kind of bring it out even more. Now, I do see where some genres, like, you know, anything that's like soundtrack based or more driven towards vocals, you might want to have the brass nozzle on there just so that, you know, it's bringing the treble and the details and the mids out a little bit more, and it's pushing it a little bit more forward. But I kind of feel like, again, the whole characteristic of this is to have all of the space in the sound. So I don't want it to feel like it's being pushed right up there in front of me. And overall, I was just left very impressed because the soundstage and the sound imaging is going to be hard to beat when it comes to other IEMs because of it allowing the sound to kind of escape the way that it is. The bass is nice. It's really tight. I do think if you're a bass head, you're probably going to feel like these are lacking. It definitely does not compete with pairs like some of my favorite bass pairs like the Eco OH1s or the OH10s, but it still has plenty of kick to it. But the characteristics of having the space and having that live sound with vocalists and the detail in the treble and just the stealthier look, and again, it's something I have not tested on the channel, so I feel like it's a company bringing something pretty new to the table. But if there is another product like this, or if you've seen it open back in a pair of IEMs before, definitely let me know in the comments section, because this pair has piqued my interest in wanting to try more products out there like this. But guys, that wraps up my video. And again, this is a Kickstarter funded project, but this is the Fosi Audio IM4. I will have it linked all in the description if you are interested in checking these out. Like I said, there is an early bird price of $80, and then once it meets, or once it, you know, gets out there for retail, it's going to come out at about $100. But that wraps up my video on these. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.